My coffee needs to kick in so quick. Right, you ready? Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Say More podcast with your hosts, Phoebe Hagen and Lauralie. How?
Yes.
Woohoo!
Good morning, sunshine. Bright and early.
Yeah, it's very early for us right now. Well, it's early for me. It's not early because I usually get up around this time anyway, if I'm honest. So it's not the worst.
I've missed you in
I've
the
missed you
last five
too.
hours that we didn't speak.
I
Huh.
know. I know. I know. How have you been?
I've been good. Listen, I'm so excited for this episode. First of all, you guys that are watching on YouTube or listening, apologizing for the last week. It's not that we didn't try
We
to
we
record.
tried
We
twi
tried.
like three times. Like it was one time where I rescheduled, Lauralie rescheduled, and then we were like, we can't fit it in. We can't fit it in now.
I know. And it would just not have been a great episode
No.
because I think last week was very like overwhelming. And obviously on my side I had the trip and there was, other stuff like in personal things. And I think last week was just the epitome of when prep hits because it hit both of us at the same time. And normally, what time does it hit for you?
I mean, what in terms of prep wise, like how many weeks
Yes.
out?
Mm.
Exactly like 6, 7 weeks out. Like we're 6 weeks out tomorrow. Last week's out was 7 weeks. So around that time frame is the time where it's like, okay, let's try and push that a little bit harder now for that body fat to come off and all that type of thing. And last week we obviously, which we'll go through today, but we changed things and pushed a little bit harder, and I felt it.
I think it was just so funny because we would see these posts about 6 weeks out. And guys, I've done so many preps in the past 12 weeks prep, 25 weeks prep. Now it's like a 19 weeks prep. And still, you started earlier than me, and still
Yeah.
at 6 weeks, 7 weeks, 6 weeks, that's when it hits. And I was trying to reflect on it, like physiologically wise, because there's a science behind this shit because it's so consistent. And I'm like, I think it's just because you're at a point where you barely have your fat storage anymore to get energy from, and it's barely just freaking pure grit and
Mm.
just dig in. Like, you just need to dig in, and that's the extra like mile. And that's when we ask ourselves all these questions. And thank God I have you around this prep. I think it makes it just like fun to talk about it and just be silly about
Honestly,
it and be like, wow, we're in this shit together, like
yeah.
we're in that same shit. And it just makes it so much lighter. And for instance, yesterday when I was talking to you on the phone, like just texting, and I was on the bed and I was like, wow, I just need to rest because I've been traveling. And I was like, I just need a freaking rest. And I was, about to ask him, like, the 7 days, and he just increased my cardio, and now we're adding sprints and shit. And I'm just like, damn, Lauralie, like, are you listening to your body? Like, what do you do? Like, what do you do in those instances? And then we spoke, and I think my pre-workout just kicked in, and I was like, let me just go. So then
Let's go.
I went to my apartment complex where I don't really do my cardio. They just changed the hours and they're closing at 11 p.m. And I'm like about to start my cardio. I'm like, I'm gonna kill this shit. I'm like, I'm ready to go. They close. I'm like, okay, is this God telling me? And I'm like, Lauralie, do not involve God right now. So I
No.
took my car and I drove my ass to the gym and I just freaking killed the shit. Best cardio in the entire prep. And I don't know how it happened. I kind of give it to you, like the credit on this, because I don't even know how I get out of bed. I was so emotional yesterday. I didn't have a good check-in. Came back from traveling. Everything I felt kind of off. My sleep, everything was just crashing down. And then I was like, nope, did it. So thank you that for Phoebe for getting me through my cardio yesterday. But it's been good. It's been good. How have you been overall? Like just picking yourself back up and just digging.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like all these feels. It's been hitting me the same, if I'm honest, like in terms of, feeling tired, more emotional, more like stress on your body. All those types of things are happening for me right now. Um, and it's difficult to kind of sometimes handle because you're like you said, do I rest? Do I push through? Most of the time at this kind of period of time is where you have to push past that like hardness and feeling shit and all that type of thing. And it fucking sucks sometimes when you're just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Um, but for me, these last couple of weeks have been, I'd say, have been exactly that in terms of like keep pushing, and just reminding myself like, okay, what are you doing this for? What do you want to bring this year? Like, keep pushing. Like, I'm sure everyone else is working just as hard to keep working. Um, so that's exactly kind of the thoughts that I've been kind of having through my head. But no, regardless, things have been good. Like you messaged me yesterday and you were like, "How have things been?" And I was like, actually, to be fair, check-in wise, I'm happy. It's weird though because last year, I was ready so early. In my mind, I'm trying not to be like, you're behind, because I was a lot lighter at this, like less, weighed less at this many weeks out. But I was also very, very ready very, very early, which we've discussed on this podcast before. And obviously, what we want to bring is completely different. Like, we don't want to be as conditioned. We want to keep that fullness. We want to keep that like roundness. And I'm trying not to like get in my head in some points because I'm like, am I behind or am I like right on pace or where I need to be? And I think I am right on pace. I'm where I need to be, but I'm just like trying not to kind of get in my own head. That those are the types of times like now at around 6 weeks to 4 weeks out. Usually a lot of change happens, but it's kind of like I don't know if it's the same for you, but like a pinnacle point where a lot's going to happen in that time frame. Do you know what I mean? Like either your body's going to go in ramp mode and lose a lot, or like body's going to change a lot, or and it's going to be really really hard, or it'll be the opposite. So I don't know what you feel about kind of the same, like in terms of like the 6 to 4 weeks out is kind of like an important part. Do you know what I mean?
It definitely is. I think it's just because everything is starting to really get close to you and you just feel like the time flies, and then you have to think about the posing. You do need to think about the suit, and then obviously everything needs to be like done. So it's just more overwhelming, but you're hungrier, that's when your sleep becomes more important. We were talking about our little naps midday, like I'm just
Oh
just
my god, my naps.
find myself like napping. And um yeah, so it's a home stretch. I would say that every day is a new day from now on. Like I cannot expect to be feeling great the next day. So whatever I have today, like I need to like use it, because I honestly don't know the fuck I'm gonna feel tomorrow. Like I really don't know
Honestly,
how it's going to
exactly the
hit me.
same.
If it rains tomorrow, like I might feel like shit. Like I thought today, because of my very little sleep, I would not feel great. And knock on wood, I'm feeling good. So we're gonna try to carry on with that same energy today and just give it my all. But that's when every day count, and we need to make it count.
Yeah.
um
No,
but
100%.
reflecting
And
back on those, like last week, I remember the episode, right before the episode, something really kind of dramatic happened in the world of bodybuilding. And when someone, the bodybuilder, passed away,
mm,
um it hit you in some way. And I think it was probably that kind of hit hard. Work, like we're already like very, you and I are very close to our emotions, just that like our in our characteristic wise. So that kind of hit, and then you start asking yourself questions about your purpose and like what we do to achieve all these things. And you and I like have also embraced our off-season bodies. So now I'm glad your check-in went well. Like for me yesterday, Phoebe, when I was like, oh my God, I feel small. I feel like I lose my shape. I feel like I'm losing my X factor. Like I told Kim, like I was very disappointed with my check-in, even though my weight really like dropped a lot. That's not what I'm looking for this year. Like I'm really wanting to keep my shape. And I just felt like yesterday I was super off balance. Like my legs look like so big, and I don't know, I was just kind of like disappointed. But um I think it's just like 2 more days of adjusting from the traveling and getting back into my groove, and I'll be fine. But the changes that he made, I'm like, shout out to Kimbo right now because shits are hitting the fan. But we always had that time during this prep. I think this prep is just more at a reasonable time because he knows my body. So the changes he made are drastic because I'm used to Kim changing like 5 minutes more of cardio and just like taking off my almond milk. Well, the last yesterday was just a lot of shit, and I put my rice into my containers this morning, like 50 grams of rice, and I'm just like, can we just cancel this whole thing? Because
can we just not have this small tiny amount because it's making me feel even worse?
seriously, seriously,
But it's okay. I
it's
mean,
it's
the
okay.
fact of the matter is like travel, especially this like far out and stuff like that. Anyway, for anyone, like for me, I when I travel, I do tend to like lose more, get flatter, and lose a little bit of my pop, which we were speaking about yesterday as well. But and I feel that's normal. It's just your like you said, your body just needs to adjust and make sure that it's in its kind of like little home state now and be like feeling comfortable with where it needs to be with the adjustments and stuff. Which I think we always go through. We always go through like not like my check-in was good yesterday, but the week before and the week before that, I was happy with it, but not really. Like I was like, I don't feel like I'm coming in as I want to, or like things aren't changing as I want to. And I looked, like you said, I looked for me. I don't know if you ever do this where you put on your stage suit when you're slightly bigger than you need to, or you are, because obviously your stage suit is obviously for your stage lean body. And I put it on and I was like, I feel huge now. Like I feel so much bigger than I should be at this stage out because when I put on my stage suit, it just was a little bit tighter. I'm not gonna lie, and I think that was it. Now it's starting to kind of like fit a little bit better, like as the weeks have gone on, and it's kind of making me feel okay. The progress is happening. Like those little types of things are starting to happen now. Um, so yeah, I feel like for you though, in terms of like travel and stuff like that, it's just a case of just getting in a good state and feeling more comfortable and stuff. But all that's exciting. The changes are happening, and the fact that it's like bigger changes than usual. Does it? How do you feel him making bigger changes than usual? Are you like, yeah, let's fucking go, or you're like, why are we making big changes? Do you know what I mean?
To be fair with you, I think yesterday, because where I was just mentally, I was like, F word, like, fuck, shit.
Yeah.
Like reassessing the whole situation. But then I had a lot of like great appointment yesterday that I've shared with you. And I think once that kind of hit and I felt a little bit liberated and I was like, let's fucking go. Like I had to speak with my family yesterday and also that kind of helped a little bit. So sometimes, don't, whomever is listening right now and like you're going through it and you're just talk to someone that could make you feel better. So
Mm.
yesterday I was very careful with how I spoke to myself. I saw my therapist. I speak to you. I speak with my family. I was surrounded by love. And Kim said the same thing. He's like, whenever that happens, like I'm here for you. And I was like, okay. And then I pick my shit back up, and then that's it. I go back to my grind. So I'm excited because these changings are. I'm gonna lose like zero point 0.5 pounds a day. I know. I
They're just
just
gonna be
know.
falling off.
As long as I'm not fighting myself, I'll be
Yeah.
good. But if I just execute, it's gonna be zero point 0.5 every day. And
Yeah.
it's not that again, the weight is on the scale. It's really whatever at this point. I really want to keep my shape, but it's a lot of fucking changes. I don't know. I'm
Mm.
excited. I'm excited, but we're gonna have to like keep a really close eye on it because I think it's gonna go really fast, really, really fast.
Yeah.
Have you ever had like you ever had refeed yet or no?
No, so that's I feel like again this prep is so different because last year it was I was ready early. At like 8 weeks out we were having refeeds pretty much every couple of days to kind of like stop things from moving so quickly. And now I'm like we haven't got any of that. We're increasing cardio and we're doing things differently. And again, it shows that every prep is different, obviously. Like for you, your last year's prep was different. For me, this year's prep is different. It's it's strange, but in a good way, in terms of like, it's not a bad thing because I'm bringing a better package already. So for me, I could be like I said before, I was freaking out because I was like, oh, my suit bottoms are feeling a little bit tighter. But that's kind of good because I needed to have a bit more roundness and fullness at this time anyway. So it shows like, do you know what I mean? It's spinning a positive thing on it. Like, yeah, we're grinding harder.
Like you would need to be fucking blind to not see how amazing you freaking look. And like you looked
Thank
amazing
you.
last year. Like you looked amazing last year, but like I feel that this Phoebe is kind of like you're fucking settling into your like maturity. Like it's
Yeah.
like you just tap in your little like mature body, and I don't know, it's amazing to see and look and to like witness. I'm so excited for this year Olympia. I
Thank
think it's going
you,
to
my
be
girl. Thank you. But yeah, I think it's always difficult because we always want to compare our last year's prep to this year's prep. Oh, did we improve? Like, were we better than last
mm,
year? Are we, you know, like you said before, even if we had an incredible off season, we stuck to everything to a T and we did things kind of the right way or whatever. Still at 6 weeks out, still at 4 weeks out, we are still going to be grinding. We're still going to, energy's still going to be lower. We're still going to be having those feelings of like, oh, this is hard. Like it's not going to be much, like massively much improved because everyone gets those tired kind of feelings the more they get into their prep. But I think, yeah, for me, when I kind of have those negative thoughts of like, oh, my suit bottoms are tight or whatever, okay, good, because I needed to have more roundness in my glutes anyway. Or like, okay, like I'm not as conditioned as this far out. Good, because I don't need to be as conditioned as last year. Like it's those types of things you kind of have to have a spin on and make sure that you feel like you are like, okay, I am moving in the right direction. And kind of like not readjust, what's the word?
no,
Um,
check yourself,
check yourself. Yeah.
check yourself.
Like check yourself.
Check yourself,
100%.
be rational, don't get inside your own head. We
Yeah.
all have our own way to get we all have our own way to get into our own way, but you need to create your own highway. Like just
Yeah.
straight up, nobody in your lane, and just do what you need to get done. And hopefully you have a great coach. And I think with our experience, we're also able to fact check ourselves a little bit easier, but it took us a while.
Yeah.
We're able to do this right now with so much experience under your belt. Like it doesn't happen overnight, and you need to go through ups and down and mistakes and losing and winning and learn. Like, at the end of the day, it's all learning process.
Mm.
But also with bodybuilding, the hardest thing is that you never really have data. You understand what I'm saying? Like
No.
it's like, yes, you have your last prep. I journal all my prep, how I'm feeling, what this meal makes to me, what this type of food makes to me. Like it makes me feel pumped, but guarantee you what the meal that made me look the best last year, I could eat it right now and it probably won't even look the best on me because it changes.
Yeah.
But I think when you're able to embrace that and also embrace the fact that, yo, this shit is fucking hard, but there's nothing more satisfying than just going through it and making it
Mm.
happen for yourself, because it's you versus you, And I don't know, it's like
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy to think that we still can enjoy like bodybuilding so much, which is such a hard and difficult thing, and with all the sacrifice that we're putting into it.
Yeah. It's weird because I think every year, which obviously I hope it kind of stays like this, and at some point it probably will stop, but every year, I'd say this touch wood, I've had this feeling of like desire to just want to be better. I mean, better every single time. You know, when you're on like your cardio and you're like, let's fucking go, instead of being like, oh God, I can't be bothered. Obviously, there's some days where I'm like, oh, I really can't be bothered to do this cardio, like whatever. But most of my cardio sessions recently have literally been like, let's fucking go. Like, and like powering on, putting my headphones in and just literally getting it done with like almost like violence in my eyes. Do you know what I mean? Like that kind of like aggressive feeling, like let's go. Um, And I love that point in prep when it comes to that point because obviously at the beginning I feel like it for me anyway it's a little bit more slow starting. I'm like, oh God, getting back into cardio again and kind of doing, food adjustments, this. And around this point of time, this is where I start to mentally really get in the zone for me anyway. Obviously I'm more tired, but I think that helps me a lot, like really envisioning myself like on that stage, envisioning like my routine, posing, all that type of thing. When I'm on stage really, really helps. But yeah, I feel like I've been doing that a lot more this year, like way more this year. And I did it a lot last year as well.
It's,
So,
it's easier to be kind of a victim, right? Like the victim mentality of, oh, I need to do this. And don't get me wrong, disclaimer to everyone who's listening. Phoebe and I don't like doing cardio. Phoebe and I don't like to diet. Phoebe and I don't like traveling and having to eat into Ziploc bags. Like you don't do that, Phoebe, but because you fancy, but
I'm
Phoebe
like,
and I like
I'm not
don't
going
like
that low. I
being
can't.
don't like being hungry. Like Phoebe and I like it's not that we like that, but we prefer the to go through like what we're going through and like the grit and the accomplishment that we can achieve by our own. And
Yeah.
once you and it's called passion, and it's not given, it's created sometimes, and it's fed by our own thoughts and not letting us fail through and like betting on yourself and getting into that, I call it the dark zone, where it's just you and the treadmill, because that's the only fucking thing you can do is just look down and
Wow, that is.
step forward step forward, so yeah, good stuff, you guys. We're 6 weeks out as of tomorrow from the Olympia. And Phoebes, have you thought about doing anything before?
So, the little so I mean, we have our eyes on a show. We do have our eyes on a show 2 weeks before.
Okay.
But and this is just a case of I haven't been on stage this year. So I haven't been on stage since last Olympia. So we just want to see, okay, do we need to adjust anything? Do we need to have anything else that we need to add? Do we need to kind of do anything differently? Also to try and qualify for next year. It's not 100% set in stone yet. We're probably around like 60% going to do it because again, we don't want to push for that show, but then we also do want to be ready 2 weeks before anyway. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where our head's at with it. In the next kind of 2 weeks, we'll probably decide whether or not we're going to do it, depending on how my body responds. But what it's doing at the moment, my body's just dropping, which is great. So we'll see. We'll see. But the reason, and I think a lot of people are kind of like, because I did speak to a few people and they were like, just focus on the Olympia. Like, why would you not do like just the Olympia? Why would you focus on like a show before? For me, anyway, I mean, considering I haven't been on stage all year, I want to make sure that I do it right for the Olympia. That's what I have in like my head anyway. Like I obviously it's one shot for the Olympia and that's it in my head anyway. So I feel like I want to make sure that if there's anything that we need to change, anything that we need to kind of like, oh, do this instead, like in terms of posing or like, okay, maybe do this differently. Don't come in as full or maybe come in a tiny little bit leaner. These little adjustments for me anyway, I can just make in those 2 weeks, like from the first show to the Olympia. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so, and it's again, it's just data for us as well to just kind of see, okay, we came in like this. This is what we look like next to everyone else. Let's go from here, type thing. So I think that's where our heads at with it at the moment. Just for data and just to also try and get qualified, obviously for next year as well. So then we don't have to do as much next year, hopefully.
Do you have any travel
Next
plans?
year,
No, for now, before the
oh, for
Olympia.
now, I am going to Pittsburgh on the 5th of October. So I'm excited for that. So that'll be good to obviously, go and see Jim, get in front of the judges and also get a bit of feedback from them as well. So I think again, it's just collecting data and just making sure that I can bring my very best on stage because it is. I think a lot of people forget it's only my second Olympia, so I there's always so much I can still do to be better up there on stage and to try and earn my earn my right to kind of be up there and stuff like that as well for me anyway. So I want to make sure that I can do it correctly and execute what we need to be. So yeah, I think that's kind of where my head's at the moment, and I do want to do the show before. I think I just want to make sure that again it's not going to be again a mistake or anything like that. I don't want to just do it and not be ready for it, you know? I have to be ready for it. So that's why we're kind of waiting a little bit longer to just see whether or not we are going to definitely do it. Because we've still got a little bit to go because my lower body is always the last thing to kind of come in. Um so we just need to be a little bit tighter on the lower body and then we should be good to go.
Exciting.
I
I'm
know.
curious because you did say something and it kind of like triggered a little thing for me because I feel that now, um, obviously you- you're more exposed like than usual, like more. There's more people that have access to you now than they used to because your following has grown, which is like amazing and it's great for you. I'm curious how loud the noise is getting around you because you did say that people are saying like what would you do like anything else before the Olympia, like who are these people, like how loud is the noise is getting around you at this point in time right now because you
Yeah.
look so amazing and people are like, it's normal that people get grounded to you and they're kind of like caring for you, and I get that, but I'm also so proud of you to be able to reflect on it and be like, I really do want to like do a show before the Olympia because this is this. And then if you don't, I always feel that you're able to reflect on yourself. But I'm curious how loud is the sound getting, especially because you're in Vegas.
Yeah, no, and do you know what that makes? I love that you kind of mentioned that because and it's again we something we can dive into in a second anyway. But the fact that the noise does get very loud at any level, obviously for us because we're pros, we're going to the Olympia. It's probably going to be louder. But for anyone even listening, anyone that's gone at a prep, they'll have people around them that have those opinions that I don't think you realize sometimes actually do stick with you longer than you think. So like someone did say to me, they were like, I don't think you should do the show before. Like just focus on the Olympia. And I was like, why? And they kind of said like just because it's the biggest show, just focus on the Olympia and that's all you need to do. Like you that and that makes sense. It does make sense to me. But then my other senses in terms of like getting any form of feedback just right before the Olympia. Also trying to get qualified for next year, so then I don't have to compete as much next year. It makes more sense in my head, but it made me question for a few days. Like, do I need to do that? Why do I need to do that show before? Because the person that like said that to me is quite high up in the kind of in the industry, and
Believe
for
you.
me, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm like, okay, so do I listen to this person that's kind of has a bit more experience of all these things than over me, or do I listen to what I want to do? And sometimes that is hard to kind of like block out, like you said, the noise, like try and like listen to what you want to do and your coach versus other people's opinions around you. And it goes the same for anyone that's listening that's an amateur or even like a pro just in general. You have to kind of block out the noise and listen to what you want to do and your coach because those are the only two people that are in your prep. There's other people that are going to be supporting you in your prep, but they don't know what you're going through, they don't know what you're doing, they don't know what you want to do like throughout your preps and everything like that. Only you and your coach know, and even your coach like knows, but only like in your heart you really really know like what you want to do. And
Yeah.
if you wanted to work towards something, like I know if I said to Adam like I want to do that show, no questions, he'd be like, okay, let's work towards it then. He'll be like, if I was completely delulu and like I was completely like not ready for the show and this other, he'd be like, Phoebe, this is
Let's talk
not.
about it.
Let's talk about this. But he'd still try and get me ready for it and be like, okay, if it's what you want to do, like, and it's what you want to work towards, and you're really, really wanting to do it, then let's try and work towards it. You know,
Yeah.
and it's what I wanted to do. So I think the noise gets very loud. It can do, but like
Mm-hmm.
you said, like you just have to try and make sure that you keep the people that are that are right around you, and then anyone that you feel like isn't really giving you that vibe of either supporting or it's messing with your head just that little bit too much. You don't have to say like, I'm not going to talk to you. I don't want to speak to you in my prep. Just exclude yourself. Just kind of be like, okay, I'm just doing my thing. I'm just prepping, like I'm doing my thing. And I just surround yourself, you surround your environment with the right energy that you need to get you through your prep, which is hard because sometimes people have like actual like normal jobs. And they have no choice but to be around, these people that might not understand the sport or not understand their reasons of doing all this stuff. But you just have to try and block out the noise as much as you can.
And just create your own journey. It's just that way you're just in control. Don't give anyone else's control.
Mm,
And once you go through, okay, this is the goal that I'm setting for myself, then you reach out to a professional, which is your coach, and you ask the expert his professional opinion, period. And then you do that together. I don't think there's anyone else that should be involved into your decision making, especially when it comes to bodybuilding. It's your
mm,
body, it's your health, it's your mental health, physical health, it's your family, it's the way that you want to show up in the world. You're gonna have a lot of red flags that are gonna come through your way if you're not doing it for yourself, and it won't be sustainable. It might be sustainable for one prep, but then after that, if you're not doing it for you, it won't be sustainable. Like these things that Phoebe and I are going through, like it's because we have it in us and we've decided and our mind is set on something. It doesn't happen from, you know, someone else. It just comes from us, and it has to be like that. Trust me, it
mm.
has to be like that. Otherwise you're just gonna have some really bad days and it's just not worth it. At the end of the day, we should be happy doing the sport, and I always told that if I stop being happy doing it, I'm out. Like
Yeah.
it's not even
Well,
worth it.
that's why I feel like each prep is so different. Like some preps, we really push and we're like, we feel really happy during this prep or it feels really, really good or whatever. And some preps are so much harder than others. And it's just a case of like trying to figure out, okay, like we need to keep pushing, we need to keep going forwards. This is just part of the process. Or no, I'm actually physically, mentally unhappy. I need to stop. You know what I mean? Like I think it's just knowing the difference. I mean, how do you feel kind of at the moment in terms of where you're at in terms of your mental state and like the people that you have around you? Do you feel like you have a good community, a good environment around you to kind of continue with your prep at the moment? Like, do you feel good?
Yeah, it's strange because a lot of people are, I think people used to ask me that before, but I didn't realize how many and like maybe the answer that I was giving. But people are like, how is prep going? How is prep going? And I cannot recall doing another prep with people asking me that maybe almost every day. And
Yeah.
they're asking me that every day, and I'm like, good. Like I don't know what people are expecting me to say. Like, am I
So
dying?
say,
Am I hungry? Am I like, how's prep going? It's good. It's prep. Like, I'm at peace, Phoebe, though. I'm at peace. And I think that's the main thing is just I'm really at peace. Peace with everything that's coming my way. And I think that's where your mind should be. It should be at peace with the struggle. It should be at peace with what life's thrown at you. Like just at peace overall, and very like a lot of gratitude. I think gratitude is has to do a lot, and it has to be in your life. And
mm,
again, you wake up with gratitude or you don't. Like I think it's helping you go through your your day a lot
yeah,
different. So when people ask me that, like how prep is going, it's going. Like it's going. That's all I need to
yeah.
like.
I know that's always
It's
hard.
going.
Like, what do I say? Yeah, I'm fucking tired. I'm hungry, but it's good. Like the progress is going okay. Like
Yeah.
it's a weird. It's always weird that kind of question because you're like you don't know how to answer it. You don't know how to say it truthfully or say like just say yeah it's good. Like because what else do you kind of say to it? But no, I'm glad that you've said that you're at peace in terms of like with what you're doing and like the changes you're doing, like the grind you're going through. Like that's very, it's nice to hear that because like in a prep you should be at peace. You should be like ready for the changes. You should be feeling like, okay, let's I'm happy with what's going on. Like, let's move forwards. Like those types of vibes, you know. I think that's good. That's really, really good to hear.
Just not worrying, like not being in a worry state of mind, like worrying for anything. And
Yeah,
I'm such a worrier that I'm just glad I'm not worrying. So when people are asking me how prep's going, it's going. That's all it
yeah,
is. It's
yeah,
so I'm excited because I think it's going to be a lot of present moment for the rest of the prep. Like I think every day is going to be a lot of present, very present moment, and I'm
yeah.
looking forward to that.
I mean, dude, it's 6 weeks.
Wow. That
Like
means like
I still can't
three
believe
three.
how quick it's gone. I know that's what I mean. I can't believe it's gone so quick, and that's why I'm like, where has
Babe,
this
you're
prep
gonna be
gone?
you're gonna be in Pittsburgh in 2 weeks
I
from now.
know. This is
And
what
like
like
get your first feedback. Like that's wild to me.
yeah. I
Wild.
mean
I'm going a little
it
bit
just doesn't
later.
feel. Oh, are you?
Mhm.
What when are you gonna go?
The 19th.
Oh. That's like well, it's not massively late to be fair, but that's later
That's the
than.
last date.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah, you're like I want to make sure that I'm. Is there a reason, or just you're just like I want to make sure that I'm ready or whatever?
I discussed it with Kim beforehand, and that
Hmm.
was our mutual decision, like recommended
Yeah,
by Kim strongly. And then, because at the
yeah,
end of the day, whenever I go, it's a short trip for me. It's not that big of a deal. Like I don't really need to like think about the traveling
no,
that much because I'm gonna make it super easy on myself. Um, it's more so okay what we want to get out of it, and I just want to have a good time. So, um, Kim said this date, and I was like, yeah, good. You know,
that makes sense though. That makes complete sense. Like, why would you? You would want to kind of make sure that you're like you said, you're getting what you want out of it. There's no point just going and just being like, oh, I'm just going to go. Like, you're going for a reason. You want to make sure that you're getting information out of it. You're going to have a fun time. Like, those types of things need to be hit as well instead of just like, yeah, I'm just going to go.
oh,
Um,
and
so I think that's good.
everyone to clarify what we're talking about. Phoebe and I has been, invited. I guess invited or just we're going to film our Road to the Olympia that is on the NPC News online channel with JM Mannion. So, oh my God, he's been doing that forever. I can't believe it's gonna be my sixth Road to the
It's
Olympia, or
it's
like fifth or
it's
sixth.
wild.
Yeah. Have you done it last year?
That's yeah. This is my second,
Oh,
and
there you
even for
go.
me, like when I just kind of like I don't know why this kind of popped up into my head, but I want to kind of like express it. So
Yeah.
when you said that, like, oh, the road to the Olympia, I've been invited, for some reason, I mean, I've been watching those Road to the Olympias for years, like for years, obviously, because you said that James, oh, he's done it for years. And it's so weird because this memory just popped into my head. Like, I remember, I don't know when it was, like probably like 2018, 19, or whenever it was. And I was a very early pro. And I remember watching it and being like, I hope I get to like one day do an interview with Jay Emmanuel for Lauralie Olympia. I don't know why that memory just popped into my head and I just remembered that. But it just made me feel like all the feels like, fuck, this is my second Olympia, my second road to the Olympia. And like, I don't know, it just made me feel very, very grateful just now because I'm like, oh wow, like this is cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's such an amazing feeling, and
Yeah.
like I love that. Did you get to see the old location though, or you only saw the new one?
No, so I went to the old one last year and
Oh
then the
my
new
God.
one, yeah, and then the new one
Bless,
obviously,
bless, bless,
yeah,
bless. Listen, love the new space. Like, love
yeah.
that for them. Like, absolutely. But the feels in the old place, the smell. Oh my God. It's so,
It's very nostalgic.
yes. So, that's what we're talking about, you guys. The interview. It's just a really good time. Little like half a day of just
Mm.
interviewing, catching up with people, and just getting in the groove of things. And these interviews are really fun and different. Jam does such a good job, so shout out to you, Jam. Obviously he's not watching our podcast, but
But
definitely
yeah,
excited for this because you look back and I mean, you have a lot of content from your old prep, but I barely have anything from my first like show. Like my first all my amateur career, I have nothing. like no picture, barely
Yeah.
anything. Um, and now I'm like looking back at my interviews, and I have my old nose before my surgery, and then I have like, you know,
I
the
was just, I was
and
just about to say that. I was like,
and
I was not your nose, but I was gonna say like facially we're probably all different, and I was just gonna say like just in general like baby
girl,
faces and like
my
that's so
English,
funny that you
my
said that.
English.
But that's also I think that's so amazing that you've improved. Like also obviously you can look back and be like, oh my English was so bad, but you can also flip it and be like, look how much like my English has improved like now, because obviously it was less than what it is now, but it's so much more improved and that's so good. So, but that's really exciting. I mean, yeah, I it's always hard because I think I've always been the type of person that I've always loved taking photos. Like when I was younger, I'd always ask for like a new digital camera. Like I was that person that was like, I just want to take photos and I want to take like videos all the time. So I have like a ton of like literally here. If anyone's watching on YouTube, this is literally full of hard drives of like old stuff from like 2006, 7, like from like old times. Like I was the person, when you were younger, you had that person taking like photos. I was that friend. Like I have no
You're like
photos
you're
of
the
like me. I'm like smile. Like I'd have photos of like random like old friends and like locations we went to, even if it literally is pointless. I still have kept them all. And like from all my phone, like all my photos from like old phones and stuff that are all on there. Like I was that person. I was like, I cannot like not lose a photo. And also, I have like 40,000 photos in my bloody phone right now because I just take so many. But yeah, I feel like it's good that you can then also look back at those interviews and kind of probably see a different mindset to what you're in, and how you talk about like achieving the achievements that you want to. So I think that's always really, really cool to kind of look back on as well. Um, so that's exciting. I mean, it's never a bad thing being like, oh, I don't have like enough content because honestly, there's the content that I have is literally just like me doing random workouts. It's nothing really like,
I mean, still,
yeah,
it's memories, you know.
yeah, it's very true.
I'm
But it's
sorry, I'm
exciting.
eating, I'm starving.
I was like, anyone to listening on Spotify right now, they're probably like, why is Lauralie's voice changed? And I'm like, because she's eating.
Sorry, guys.
To be fair, it's 7 o'clock. So after this podcast, I'm going to be having my breakfast, my first meal, because I'm starving. And are you waking up like now at the moment, like hungry? Or are you just waking up and you're just like, nah,
Oh no, I wake up hungry.
me too.
It's a
Like,
state
I'm
of
waking
life.
up and I'm like, I'm,
And I
yeah,
finish my meal, and then I cannot wait for my second meal.
yeah, that's how life is going for both of us at the moment, if I'm honest. So,
Yes.
but I mean, in terms of how, like, obviously we discussed kind of like how prep's going and how you're feeling and stuff like that. I mean, how do you feel in terms of like the mental state of things? Like, have you had, because you mentioned something about dark side of prep. Like, we mentioned obviously a few things with dark side of prep, obviously with just mental state and stuff like that in general. I mean, have you, I mean, been speaking to yourself in a good way this prep versus what you were last year? Or obviously, I know you said you kind of like, I'm feeling calm, I'm feeling good. Have you had any kind of creep in moments where you have thought, I can't do this anymore, or I don't think I can do this anymore, or do you know what I mean? Like that had those kind of like thoughts. Yeah,
Or like that person's better than me. Like I no, not
yeah,
this year. It's that's why I
that's so
think
fucking good.
when I say peace, it's just I'm in my own lane. It's not even like y'all get on my way. Like, you know, and I would just be like fighting people's off. Like, no, I do work for myself. I go to the gym for myself. And eventually, I think your my mind shift this year, it's like, I feel like I'm doing this for things that are way bigger than myself. And I need to not banalize what I'm doing because I used to be like, at first it was everything, and then it became just like oh, but it's just bodybuilding, and then I was trying to hide the fact that I'm doing things. I don't know how to explain, but I think, yeah, I'm doing it for bigger reason than just myself right now. So I think I'm not letting myself down, which making myself worrying about other competitors. Like, there's just no point. I'm so rational. I'm so mature about it now. I think I've read a lot. Shout out to my therapist, obviously, like helping a ton with my thoughts. And no, Phoebes, I mean, we're 6 weeks out, so I don't want to jinx it, but I
No,
think
but
I
it's
think it's
good.
just, yeah, it's different. I think with what I've the last wait I don't know, the last preps and just life in general, like now, I don't know, I'm 27, I'm 27. It's not because I'm not saying that as an old, but I've been doing this for a long time. And I think now, if you're only doing it for
Not yourself.
I was about to say, it's always yourself, but only yourself. Like, is it only yourself? Like, I don't think I've never done it only for myself. It was always for like the bigger picture, but now I can see why. Like, my why of like why I've been
Okay,
going
yeah.
through it, and like why I've been doing this. Like, now it's kind of like, okay, this is going to be my legacy. This is going to be for my kids. And I know some people might be like, it's just bodybuilding, but it's like, no, it's the everyday grit. Is the fact that I wake up when I don't want to. It's the fact because I'm hungry and I don't want to be hungry, but I still go through hunger. It's like all these things that builds my character for my kids. Like, it's just so crazy to say it
Mm,
like that, because it sounds really
I get
crazy, but
you.
that's in the dimension that I'm in right now. Am I going to let myself worry about other people stepping on stage? Girl, that's so 2012. Forget it.
Mm,
That's so the past me. Fuck that. No, like, I elevated myself to a standard of like, that girl is just not worried, and it doesn't even cross my mind. Doesn't even cross my mind. And
that's so good though.
it's different. It's different. I think I mean, it's a lot of freaking work, but once you reach that point, it's phenomenal. And I admire you for that, because I think you matured in the sport in a very, very fast and amazing way, considering the amount of reach that you have. Because, like I said, when the noise get louder, um, that's when it gets a little bit harder, especially in a
Yeah.
sport where you want to be validated, you want to be the one. Like, we all want to be the one.
Yeah.
So if you give your power away and it's not in your hands anymore, and you give it into the judges, or you give it to another girl that's stepping on stage, or like to give it to anything else but yourself and what you can control, and your vision that you want for yourself, you're gonna get lost so quickly, and it would be so unfortunate, and you're gonna go through struggle that you really don't want to. So now I'm able to make that choice for myself, be surrounded by amazing freaking people, trusting people, obviously trusting my abilities, which I've always subconsciously done, but now I'm consciously doing with, I'm actually proud of myself. I'm actually doing that shit. Like, I'm actually working for it, and it's without nothing to prove to anyone, though. So it's just me
Mm,
showing up, and it's going to prove when it's going to be time to prove to the person that are going to be important, which is like, are my kids or my family or all these things. Does that make
yeah.
sense? Like, I'm not doing it to prove it to Instagram, or to prove it to YouTube, or to prove it to Susan from Mississauga. Like, I don't care about that anymore. I prove it to the woman that think that they can't do it, and just because I did it, they can believe in themselves. Or like, prove it to my kids, like, wow, like, my mom did that, you know, like you can build your character from the ground up, like literally, and doing really fucking hard things. You can do hard things. So that's the mind shift, which sounds crazy,
No, but that's
but
good.
yeah,
That's
it's
so
different.
good. And like again, it's like you're like you said, you're maturing into the sport. And like again, everyone has those thoughts sometimes where you kind of double back themselves and be like, am I like ready to kind of go through this? But like you said, your why is so much bigger now. Like why you're doing this is more than just like yourself, it's your future self depends on it, your future kids depend on it. And I think that's so cool that you have that kind of mindset. I've never even thought about it in that way, to be fair. Like when you said kind of like about, you know, the lessons that I'm going to teach my kids, I'm like, fuck, because all these things that we're doing right now in terms of determination, and people, like you said, people look at it as, oh, it's just a diet, it's just doing cardio, like shut up. But the lessons it teaches you, the determination and the grit that you get from doing something like this is something you'll carry into your like future. Really is. And like it's weird. It's weird that you've said that because I've never thought of it in that way. Like in terms of teaching my future lessons to my kids or having a legacy. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna come to you though. Don't even force it, you know? Like I think it was
No.
forced. It was so forced in the beginning because I finished second at my first Olympia and people were already like, your legacy and like leave a mark. And like I was like, yo, I'm not there yet. And I think I've let that come to me, and people are gonna try to make you say like I'm gonna win the Olympia. Like I never want to say that. I never want to say like are you gonna win the show? Like I don't want to say that. Like I just
Yeah.
but now it comes to me, and I think the peace comes from the fact that I'm building a legacy and my journey is setting ground and I see the vision. I've done that for a while. Feels like 8 years. Like 8 years almost,
Damn.
like it's gonna be a decade. You know, it's overall a decade of me competing, but 8 years of just, you know, being a pro and doing that full time. So
That's
um
wild.
I'm there, but let that come to you, babe. Like don't even force it, you know? Don't even force
No,
it.
and that's the thing. I don't think I am at this point. It's weird because I think I used to really have to try and force things to happen, you know, like in terms of,
Yes.
I really need to think this mindset or I really need to be in this mindset. And now I'm just letting things happen the way that they happen. And they're naturally just coming to me now in terms of like, I want to do this. I want to kind of be going through this. I'm not having to force myself to be like, oh, let's do this, or have this mindset or, oh, this person said I need to think like this, so I need to think like that now. But like you said, like people are saying like you should say what you want, like you should say you want to win or you should say you want to get whatever. And I'm like, I'm just letting my mindset do what it wants to do. And that's going to naturally reflect on my body as well. So, and it feels very natural to do that. Um, so yeah, but
It's a
God,
process,
if
and
it, yeah,
I love that for both of us. I love that we're able to share that and really be like secure with ourselves and yeah, and be who we are. And oh my God, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud
oh, I'm proud of
of your
you
growth.
too.
Yeah.
This prep has been so much more like, I feel like, especially with the podcast and obviously just our mindsets in general, this prep, it's been different. It has been different in terms of, like you said, our exposure has been a little bit different in terms of sharing more, saying more and all that type of stuff. But
Say more.
but say more. So yeah, it's felt very different, but I feel like a lot more emotionally attached to how I'm feeling this prep, if that makes sense. But I'm not running from it. It's nice. Like I like this feeling, if I'm honest. Like it's nice to be in tune with my emotions.
We're very responsible.
Yeah,
I think we're very responsible right now. You and
yeah.
I, very responsible. That's the word. So if you're not ready to be responsible for yourself, just don't go into that sport because you're not gonna make it right. I think
No.
being responsible is very important because yeah, you
Yeah,
can't
you need to
blame
make sure
anyone
you're
else but you.
doing. Yeah, you can't blame anyone else but yourself, like you said. So, okay, for our last final bit, I forgot that I put a little question on the IG, and it
Sure.
was like, what do you tell? Remember, what do you tell? What was it that I said? What lies do you tell yourself
Oh my
when you're
God.
doing your cardio? So these are funny. So I want to
Okay.
know what yours is first. Like, what do you tell yourself when you're on cardio? When you're struggling, when you're in the epitome of, oh my God, I don't want to do this cardio, like you're going through it. What are the lies you tell yourself to get yourself through it?
Oh my God. Girl, I don't even know.
Mine's like, so mine was, so say for example, I've got like 40 minutes of cardio or something like that, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm only 10 minutes in. This is like struggle city. I'd be like, okay, it's only like five minutes times six. So I'm like,
Oh,
do 5 more minutes. Okay, now you've got another 5 minutes. You got four more of those. Do you know what I mean? So I split
girl.
it up
Like,
like into
yes.
small little segments. So like, okay, you've got 40 minutes, you've got however many that is in 5 minute segments or 10 minutes. 10 minutes, you've got four of those. Okay, you've got three more 10 minutes left. You've got two
Absolutely.
more, even though it's
You,
still
you
20
you become a
minutes.
full on math teacher, and if you have
Yeah,
never done that, have you even prepped? Like,
I
if you've never
know.
done that, have you even prepped? So, no, I thought the lie was like, excuse me, this is the last minute. Like every minute is the last minute.
Oh, yeah.
This is the
You got
last
one more
minute.
minute left. One more minute
One
left.
more minute
I'll only
left.
do 5 more minutes, even though you're not going to do only 5 more minutes, just to get yourself to that 5 minutes and be like, okay, another 5 minutes. It's like, it's so funny the stuff that we have to say. So, I mean, there's so many on this.
Really? That's
Someone said,
so.
I don't believe any of the lies. Someone said, I don't believe any of the lies I tell myself on cardio.
Oh
She
my
said,
God.
positive lies. Someone said, positive lies. I'm a world champion. I'm a professional athlete, which is kind of good. That's kind of like positive thinking when you're on stage or something like that. Um, Someone said on the stair mill, please don't fall. If you know, you know. I don't use a stair mill though. Do you use a stair mill? No, neither do I.
I
So
used
someone said,
to.
"I let's hope I don't fall." Um, Only 100 more calories to burn, or something like that.
The countdown.
Um, yeah, literally the countdown. Or someone said, "You're almost done. 10 minutes in, you've got 60 to do. You're almost done."
Listen, when my God, babe, when you said
Oh,
that when the first 10 minutes, you're like, shit, it's only been 10 minutes. I used, I mean, in the girl
it's
in the past, I would just use a big hoodie and just cover the whole shit. Like
cover. That's a good hack.
I would just cover. Don't
Yeah.
think about
Someone
it.
said 1 more minute left. Someone says I randomly close my eyes in moments and say there's no place like home. That is hilarious. That's so funny. So I'll randomly close my eyes. Like I don't even know how you do that on cardio because I'm like fucking like walking through it. If I close my eyes, I'm falling that off that machine. So for a moment you close your eyes, there's no place like home. That's funny. That's so funny. Um, Once I start, it'll get easier. Which, to be fair, I actually do think is true. Like yesterday, I did not want to do cardio. Like I actually fell asleep for like 5 minutes on the sofa when I was texting you, like like napping. It was just like 7 o'clock, and I was like had a quick like nap, and then I was like, no, go do your cardio. And I walked to the gym, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. And then I got on, and I was like, this is fine. Like it's not that bad because it honestly isn't that bad. Even though it's a lie that I'm trying to tell myself, it's
Girl,
not that bad.
the thing that I'm saying myself a lot this week is just this prep is just shit. I have to do this tomorrow too. Fuck.
Yeah.
Especially yesterday, like I was at 1 a.m. I was like having my endorphins like super high, and I'm like, shit, but I have to do that tomorrow.
Yeah, the realization when the cardio gets higher and the energy's lower, where you're like, I have to do this every day now. Fuck. But it's all for a purpose. That's all we got to keep
Girl,
thinking positively.
it's one day at a time.
One day at a time, one day at a time. Someone said 30 minutes left, 10 minutes three times, like we were talking about a second ago, like
Yeah.
making the cardio into like small bits. Someone said, I'm not that hungry. Lie, you got to tell yourself, I'm not that hungry. Someone said, if I stop, I'll die, that's a drastic thing
Like,
to tell yourself on cardio.
listen,
But if that works, it works.
to each his own. I respect for that.
Exactly.
Respect for that.
Yeah, literally. If I watch an episode of Friends to distract myself, it won't hurt as bad, which is actually so fucking true. Like if you watch something, but I don't know. I feel like I've been watching YouTubes recently on like cardio or something like that, and it's not been distracting me as much. I think music for me has been the one thing that I have to like, I have to just listen to music and kind of like zone out versus watching YouTube's recently. I don't know why that switch, it just hasn't been distracting me as much, um, which is weird. Um, what's the other ones? This is the difference between this is the difference between me not getting my goals and me getting my goals, which is
Truth.
true. True, true, true. This is fun. Someone says this is fun. Like you got to say. I know.
Cheers.
I know. Like just telling yourself. Have you seen that meme where it's like that dog that's sitting in like that fire pit? Like everything, it's fine. That's like the epitome of cardio. Sometimes everything's fine. Um, I always watch YouTube and tell myself I'm so unproductive for doing that. Which I mean, I think it's kind of productive. You can get a lot done in cardio. Sometimes I just literally like text everyone back. I call my like family. I call people. I try and use it as like a productive time if I need to. Um, when I'm on cardio, and sometimes I just fucking zone out because honestly, I can't even think sometimes when I'm on cardio.
True. When you do
I
silent
know.
cardio, that's when you know it
Yeah,
hits
you know that
different.
they're. Oh, someone said they do a Beyonce walk when they're on the treadmill or stair mill. Like, do you ever do that where you kind of like move, like if you listen to a good song, you kind of like do a little stage walk when
Girl,
you're on the
yeah, of
tread?
course, of course. We all have our moments.
So that's funny. I mean, pretty much all of them are the same now, kind of like 5 more minutes, 1 more minute left. This is fun. This will burn off that cookie that I had last night. Truth. And we'll leave it at that one.
Funny.
So
Such a good like question, Phoebe. I love
it's
that. That
funny
was fun.
though. No, I know. So those are the lies you'll tell yourself on cardio. If you didn't see that, comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. What are the lies you tell yourself on cardio? We'd love to know. We'd love to hear from you. But I think that's it for today's episode. Thank you
Let's
so much
wrap it
for
up
watching.
so
Yeah,
you can
thank you so
have your
much for
breakfast.
watching. I know. I weirdly, when you get to that point where you're just like, I've been up for about an hour and a half now, and I'm not that hungry,
But
which
go
is
eat
weird.
still.
Yeah, I know. I'm still gonna go and eat because the thing is, I feel like once I start to eat, then I'm
Yes.
gonna be more
I
hungry.
know, babe. I know. I
That
know.
sucks, but we got to eat regardless. So, but thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, all those fun things. It really means a lot for you, for us, for you watching and listening and all that sort of thing. Oh, and we hit a milestone of 50,000 downloads
Thank you
on
guys.
our Spotify and kind of channels and stuff like that, which is so cool. So
Thing.
thank you guys so much for watching and all supporting. It means a lot. And a lot of people have been very excited to meet us at the Olympia, which is going to be so much fun. I can't wait for it. It's going to be so fun. So, but yeah, we love you guys so much, and we will see you in the next episode.
Love you guys. Love you, Phoebe.
Love you guys. Bye bye.